The ancient world believed the journey of the soul didn't end at death. What followed was either an eternity of torment or blissful peace. Or maybe you got reincarnated. It was complicated. And in order to get to whatever came next, the dead had to pass through a mysterious realm that existed between the world of the living and the next. Sometimes these lands were a necessity, like crossing a river. Other times they were a place of peril, populated by creatures both mundane and monstrous. And some were inescapable prisons. Today we look at 5 of the most terrifying underworld realms from ancient mythology that you were never meant to enter. Number 5, Duat, the Egyptian realm of the dead. When we think of ancient Egypt, the towering pyramids and imposing statues of gods come to mind. But the Egyptians weren't just focused on the afterlife, they also desperately wanted to understand it. No part of their culture showcases this more than their beliefs about the underworld, which wasn't a single realm, but a collection of many. This is because the journey through the afterlife was more like a road trip than a straight path. Your first stop was Duat, the underworld. For the Egyptians, this was no ethereal plane, but a dangerous journey filled with booby traps and deadly creatures. To reach the Hall of Truth, where their heart would be weighed against the feather of justice, the deceased had to travel through 12 houses, each containing its own trials. There was the House of the Scorpion, where poisonous scorpions scuttled around, or the House of the Frog, where a croaking chorus blocked the way. These were only 2 of the 12. We know about Duat, but there were plenty of other realms to come. If your heart was pure and your deeds were good, then you passed beyond the Hall of Truth and into the Field of Reeds, a paradise of singing birds and flowing rivers. But if you failed the test, things got bad. Really, really bad. According to some accounts, your heart was devoured by Amit, a creature with the head of a crocodile, the forebody of a lion and hind legs of a hippopotamus, the very worst of all Egyptian monsters. Once you entered Duat, there was no escaping that fate. Number 4, Naraka, the cycles of suffering. Most religions have a similar outlook on hell. It's hot, it's full of fire and brimstone, and it's the product of human sin. But this changes dramatically when we cross the Indian Ocean. In Hinduism, the afterlife isn't a simple heaven or hell, but a cycle of many rebirths called samsara. To escape this cycle and achieve moksha or enlightenment, you needed to navigate Naraka, a realm of the dead that resembles a series of checkpoints. This means the nature of your afterlife depended on the number of lives you lived and how you lived them. This is why Naraka is often depicted as a place of suffering. When the god Yama, who presides over death, arrives to escort the soul, they must pass through one of the 8 gates of hell. If you've done good, you can pass through the gate of great liberation. But if not, you can pass through the gate of continuous birth, being condemned to live countless lives without reaching enlightenment. Now, it's important to note that each Hindu's journey was unique. Some myths say the righteous could pass through the gate of constant pleasure, while the wicked went through the gate of immediate destruction. It just depends on what stories you read. But one thing's for certain, no one was safe from Naraka. Even the gods had to face the music for their misdeeds. Number 3, Helheim, the frozen world below. Norse mythology has enjoyed a surge in popularity in recent years, thanks in part to a certain Marvel show. Thor's adventures are exciting, sure, but the god of thunder had nothing on his brother Loki, the trickster god who could shapeshift into anything, even a fly. Loki's many escapades inadvertently caused the deaths of many, including the beloved Baldur. So when the gods held him accountable, he was sent to Helheim, a prison of ice and darkness in Norse mythology. This realm was ruled by none other than Hel, goddess of the underworld. She was the daughter of Loki, and her home was no reflection on her parents, as she was known for her incredible kindness. She welcomed any souls who came to her realm with open arms, so long as they weren't a god. Her father was furious about this, so Hel made a bargain with him. Any god who stepped foot in Helheim would stay there forever. but mortals who entered could return to the land of the living if they brought her back an oath of fealty from 9 of their loved ones. Otherwise, they were doomed to wander her halls for the rest of eternity. That sounds cruel, but it does make sense. If Helheim was such a nice place, everyone would want to go there. And now for number 2. But first, I want to give a big shout out to some supporters. Thanks so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you too would like to show the world your support, you can click the join button and check out the links in the description. Number 2, Xibalba, the Maya's Labyrinth of Death. We know quite a lot about the Maya today, thanks to the decipherment of their hieroglyphic writing system. We know they built great cities, kept detailed records, and created beautiful works of art. But few aspects of their culture fascinated them more than the afterlife. While their neighbors to the north, the Aztecs, saw the afterlife as a dark and dangerous place, the Maya viewed it as a place of adventure and growth. Unfortunately, getting there was a harrowing journey through Xibalba, the Underworld. According to Popol Vuh, the sacred book of the Maya, the journey started as soon as a person drew their first breath. This is because the moment the baby was born, they were immediately placed at the crossroads of life and death, a symbolic entrance to the underworld. From here, they had to rely on the maze god for guidance and protection. If you reach the end of this first leg of your journey, congratulations, because you've only survived the beginning. Xibalba was full of deadly obstacles, like caves full of jaguars and bats, razor-sharp maze knives, and even a decapitating ball court. Only when you reached the final trial, a house of unity, did you finally enter the afterlife. But don't get too comfortable, because there was another catch. You couldn't enter alone. You had to bring 3 precious stones with you. The sunstone symbolized your physical body, the jaguar stone represented your courage, and the macaw stone symbolized your free will. Hand these over to the lords of the underworld, and you could finally move on. But if you didn't have all 3, well, you wouldn't be moving on anytime soon. Instead, you'd spend eternity stuck in the underworld with only your regrets and whatever body parts you still had left. Number 1, Tartarus. In Greek mythology, Tartarus was a place where even the gods feared to tread. It was a deep pit at the bottom of the earth, shrouded in mystery and inhabited by some of the most horrifying creatures in all of mythology. Titans, giants, demons, and dragons called Tartarus home. The great chasm was bottomless and pitch black. Its walls were smooth and steep, making escape impossible. The only way out was up, which meant anyone trapped there had only one hope: to be rescued by a god. But even then, only a select few could survive the ordeal. The hero Orpheus tried this once, but despite playing music so entrancing that Hades himself had risen to hear it, he suffered a terrible fate. As he descended into Tartarus, his lyre fell and broke, causing the magic within to spill out and solidify into stone. Then the demons of the underworld tore the great musician limb from limb. So what could have caused a god like Orpheus to meet such a gruesome end? Well, as with all myths, there are multiple answers. He might have been punished for being disobedient or bringing music to such a dark place. The Greeks wrote many versions of his tale, but one thing remains clear: Tartarus was a place no one should ever visit. What did you think? How would you fare traveling through the underworld? Let me know in the comments. And thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time for more Echoes of the Past.